If you've been on the fence about a standalone preacher curl because it feels like a one-trick pony, this actually earns its keep. We went into this expecting a throwaway arm station, and we were wrong. And the reason we were wrong has nothing to do with price. It has to do with how this actually gets used in a home gym. If you like no-nonsense home gym reviews, consider subscribing. So people don't actually hate preacher curls. Most people like the movement. It's simple and it works. What people hate is benches that only do one thing in a home gym. They take up space, they feel awkward under load, and they end up unused. So the problem isn't preacher curls, it's single-purpose equipment. And that's what we wanted to pressure test here. Because in a commercial gym, a one-trick station is fine. In a home gym, every piece has to justify why it exists. On one station, you can run dumbbell preacher curls, barbell preacher curls, and true machine preacher curls. Dumbbells give you the freedom and small adjustments rep to rep. A barbell, especially an easy curl, lets you load heavier. And a machine curl gives you consistency. Every rep should feel the same, even as you get tired. So this matters more than it sounds. Different curl styles let you train arms differently across the week without changing stations. You can go heavier on the barbell, cleaner on the machine, and more free on dumbbells, all in the same footprint. That's what separates this from being a novelty piece. Setup is straightforward. Seat height sets where your arms land on the pad. Arm pad height lines the handle up naturally. You load plates like any other machine. From there, you pick how you want to train that day. The reason the machine curl matters isn't because it's fancy, it's because the path stays level. You're not fighting tilt or asymmetry. When you're tired, you can focus on finishing the rep, not correcting it. That consistency is what makes machine curls useful instead of annoying. In a home gym, consistency beats variety. You're training alone, often after work, and you don't want to think about setup every session. When a movement stays consistent, it's easier to repeat week after week, and that's what actually drives progress. You can also lock the machine arm forward and use it for controlled pulling movements. This isn't replacing barbells or cables. It's about even resistance for rows. Stiff leg deadlift patterns, and bent over face pulls. Some movements work better than others, but it expands what the station can actually do. In a home gym, it's not just about footprint, it's about frequency. A piece can be compact and still never get used. What surprised us is how often we actually walked over and used this once it was set up.
Going into this, there were a few things we honestly expected not to like. The first was the idea that this would feel like a one-purpose bench. We've owned enough single-use pieces to know how that usually goes. They sound good, then slowly stop getting used. The second was the machine curl itself. We assumed it would feel restrictive or awkward compared to free weights, especially once fatigue sets in. What surprised us was how the opposite happened. The machine path staying level meant we could focus on finishing reps instead of managing the bar. That consistency ended up being a benefit and not a limitation. We also expected setup to be more annoying than it is. In practice, it just lives loaded. We walk over, sit down, and start. and that alone changed how often it actually got used. None of this makes it perfect, and it doesn't turn it into something it's not. But it did change how we think about dedicated arm stations in a home gym. That's really the takeaway here. Not that this replaces anything, but that it surprised us by earning its place. This is normally the kind of machine I wouldn't want in a home gym. Not because preacher curls aren't good, but because single-purpose benches don't usually earn their space. What surprised me is how many ways we actually use this. We really like the machine curls because there's no setup friction. Just throw the plates on, grab the handles, and go. For a home gym, not having to set up bars or re-rack every time is a big deal. And honestly, we just leave the plates on permanently. That's why we ended up using the machine curls more than we expected to. All the adjustability here is vertical. Seat height, arm pad height, and barbell holder height. It keeps setup simple without overcomplicating things. Standard and Olympic plates both work. There are band pegs for resistance changes, and the phone holder actually gets used. Fit and finish exceeded our expectations, especially the chrome. It feels closer to high end than budget. If you want free weight only training, this probably isn't necessary. If you like machines, quick setup, and repeatable reps, it makes more sense. And if space matters, versatility is where this earns its keep.
This isn't perfect. We'd love tilt adjustability on the preacher pad, adjustable handle angles for pull movements, and a rotating handle would be God tier V2 features. These are wishes, not deal breakers.
If you've been burned by single purpose equipment before, that's the lens to judge this through. This didn't end up in that category for us. If you want to check it out, our link and code save you 5%, and it helps support the channel.